What if spending Saturday night alone wasn't a sign of loneliness, but scientific evidence that you're doing something profoundly good for your brain, your business, and your well being? Today, we're unpacking the neuroscience and psychology behind self dating and why choosing yourself might just be the most revolutionary act of self leadership. We're examining the research that validates self dating as more than just a trendy self care practice. We're exploring the neuroscience of solitude, the psychology of self compassion, and the attachment theory underpinning that makes deliberately choosing time alone a radical act of well being. This episode is particularly important because in building my self dating app, I made a commitment to ground every feature and design decision in actual research rather than just intuition or popular wisdom. So let's dive into what the science really says about spending intentional time with yourself. We live in a culture that romanticizes external connection above all else. From childhood, we praise for being good partners, loyal friends, and team players. We are validated when we are chosen by someone, when we get the text message, when someone needs us. Popular culture tells us that finding the one is life's ultimate goal, and that being alone is a problem to be solved or a gap to be filled. But here's what the actual research shows. Solitude isn't a deficit condition or something to fix. It's a fundamental human need, is essential to psychological health as social connection. Groundbreaking 2023 study published in Scientific Reports followed 178 participants over 21 days, tracking their daily experiences of solitude and social interaction. What they found challenges our cultural assumptions. When daily solitude was autonomous, meaning chosen rather than forced, and didn't accumulate across consecutive days, detrimental effects typically associated with loneliness were nullified or significantly reduced. Translation: chosen solitude is fundamentally different from forced isolation, both neurologically and psychologically. So, when you take yourself on a date, when you choose solitude on a Saturday night, when you say, I'm prioritizing my relationship with myself, you're not being antisocial. You're being scientifically sound. You're meeting a genuine psychological need that our culture has taught us to pathologize. Let's be explicit about the beliefs most of us absorbed growing up. We've been conditioned to think that spending time alone means no one else wants you, that self-focus is narcissism, that prioritizing your needs equals neglecting others, that you should only treat yourself well after someone else treats you well first. These beliefs aren't based on psychological research or emotional truth. They're cultural residue, narratives that serve system of codependency and consumption more than they serve human flourishing. A 2024 national survey found that 56% of Americans now consider alone time essential for their mental health. We're literally craving what we've been taught to fear. There's a profound disconnect between what we know we need and what we feel permission to pursue. Research from University of Reading revealed that spending more hours alone was consistently linked with decreased stress levels, suggesting profound calming effects of solitude on our nervous system. Yet we continue to pathologize something our bodies and brains desperately need. Why this disconnect? Part of it is evolutionary. For most of human history, isolation meant danger. Being alone meant being vulnerable to predators and environmental threats. Our brains evolved to interpret aloneness as a warning signal. For instance, think about the rejection. When someone or a group rejects us, we almost feel pain, like actual physical pain. Because, as I said before, we subconsciously know that being rejected by a group means being alone. And being alone, being rejected, that means that you don't have support and literally you're going to die. So this is why the rejection hurts as much as it hurts. But in our modern context, the threats we face are different. We're overwhelmed with stimulation, overconnected digitally, and underconnected to ourselves. The nervous system threat isn't isolation. It's overstimulation and lack of integration time. Dr. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory helps explain this. Our autonomic nervous system has different states: sympathetic, fight or flight, dorsal vagal, shut down, and ventral vagal, safe and social. Chosen solitude, when approached with the right mindset, activates the ventral vagal state. We feel safe enough to be with ourselves, to rest, and to integrate. But forced isolation or stigmatized aloneness triggers dorsal vagal shutdown, the feeling of being cut off, unsafe, and disconnected. Just as I said with the rejection, we are being rejected, therefore it hurts. We're feeling alone. We think that we are going to die on this savannah or in this jungle, when in fact we are just in our home. We are not in a jungle. Same external circumstances, completely different internal experience based on how we frame and approach the solitude. Self-dating isn't about rejecting connection or becoming an island. It's about rebalancing. It's saying, I'm worthy of presence, joy, softness, and attention without anyone else needing to be in the room. That's not selfish, that's sovereignty. And in a culture that profits off insecurity, external validation, and endless swiping for connection, choosing yourself first is genuinely revolutionary. Think about how our economy is structured around consumption to fill internal voids. Dating apps that keep you swiping, social media that keeps you scrolling, products marketed as a solution to feeling inadequate. Self-dating directly challenges model by suggesting you might already have what you need yourself. Let me walk through 7 research-backed reasons why self-dating is so powerful. 1. It breaks cycles of codependency. Self-dating isn't about isolation. You are not supposed to be a hermit, and you are not supposed to vow off dating, making friends, being with a family. It's about rebalancing our capacity for both connection and autonomy. Harvard Medical School research shows that self-compassionate people recognize when they're suffering and respond with kindness, which reduces anxiety and depression. When you build genuine intimacy with yourself, you stop outsourcing your sense of worth to people who may not be equipped to hold it. Attachment researchers call this developing earned security. You become your own secure base rather than desperately seeking one in others. So whenever something bad happens at work, or maybe you have an argument with your partner or with your friend or with your family, and they will say something hurtful, you won't internalize it, because no matter what is their opinion, what they think about you, you know that you're fundamentally okay. You are not validated by what they said to you, or it was positive or negative. You know that, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm okay. That's okay. And you are not dependent on their opinion. This is crucial for interpreters too. When you have internal security, you make better business decisions because you're not operating from desperation or need for external validation. Just as I said a few episodes before, when you don't internalize your startup, which means that your startup is not your whole identity, it's just part of your identity, it's something that you currently do. Whenever when happens, like something that didn't work out, you don't internalize again. You just say, okay, so maybe that's not it. Maybe I'm supposed to do something different. You move on quicker and without much hustle. Number 2, it reclaims time from productivity culture. Research on daily solitude has explored what researchers call the positive affordness or alone time. Studies consistently show that chosen solitude creates a low arousal positive effect, feeling less stressed, more peaceful, more relaxed. Because you don't have to manage other people's expectations. You just have to be with yourself. Choosing to be alone with no agenda, not monetizing it, not posting it, not turning it into life's hacks. That's what I call anti-capitalism softness. It's presence for its own sake. It's time that isn't productive in economic terms, but is essential for psychological integration. To be honest, sometimes when you are bored and you're not doing anything, you just, doing something for yourself, suddenly you may have a solution to the problem that was eluding you for a long time. So, to be honest, it's great to relax sometimes and not do anything proactive because, yeah, maybe you will get sudden idea, sudden solution. So you don't have to always push for more productivity. Number 3, it creates internal emotional safety. A comprehensive study for over 2,000 participants across the lifespan found that self-determined motivation for solitude and peaceful mood were key indicators of well-being during alone time. Is where attachment theory becomes relevant. Primary caregivers who are available and responsive to an infant's needs allow the child to develop secure attachment. Self-dating allows you to become that dependable, responsible caregiver for yourself as an adult. You learn that you can hold space for your own loneliness, desires, fears, and joy. You become your own secure base from which to explore the world. Number 4, it builds self-compassion. A systematic review of 24 empirical studies found overwhelming evidence that self-compassion prevents occupational stress, burnout, and compassion fatigue while improving professional efficacy. Dr. Kristen Nerf's research identifies 3 pillars of self-compassion that are directly cultivated through self-dating. Self-kindness, treating yourself with the same care you'd shown to a dear friend. Common humanity, recognizing that struggles and imperfection are universal human experiences. Mindfulness, observing your thoughts and feeling without judgment. Number 5, it models healthier relationship culture. Self-dating isn't giving up upon love. It's laying the foundation for healthier love. Research shows that self-compassionate people handle stressful situations more effectively, from natural disasters to relationship challenges. When more people learn to date themselves first, we stop idolizing fantasy level romance and start building emotional grounded relationship based on self-awareness rather than desperation. This is the difference between craving someone and choosing them. Because when you date yourself, when you're genuinely there for yourself, you don't really need a relationship. I mean, need a relationship, but you can choose a relationship because you have a much better understanding of what you want in a partner. What is that you love about yourself? What is that you don't like? What is that you wouldn't like in a relationship? And from this place of total security, that no matter what, you are okay. You are there for yourself. You can choose your people. You can choose the person that actually supports you, that you have, I don't know, common interests, common values, that you can actually build a secure, steady relationship instead of just, doing it from the need because, yeah, I need to be in a relationship. I need to have friends. I need to be popular. But yeah, when you say like, I need, you are not choosing, you're just desperate. Number 6, it enhances creativity and problem solving. Studies reveals that people are significantly more likely to experience breakthrough aha moments when they're alone and relaxed. These insights arise when your mind is free from external noise, enabling deeper thinking and creative connections. For entrepreneurs and creators, this has practical implications. Your best ideas likely won't come during back-to-back meetings or while scrolling social media. They emerge during walks alone, quiet morning time, or extended periods of unstructured solitude. Number 7, it improves physical health. A longitudinal study of over 1,000 adults found that self-compassion is associated with lower perceived stress, attenuated psychological stress responses, more health-promoting behaviors, and better physical health outcomes. The connection between self-compassion practices and physical health isn't mysterious. When you treat yourself well, You make choices that support your body because you're not making a choice from being validated by others. You don't have to, for instance, wear makeup or eat certain things or maybe work out like 7 days a week because, yeah, you are choosing what is actually good for your body because you are validated by yourself, not other people. And as we know, the culture promotes certain looks, certain behavior, and that kind of look or that kind of beauty may not be what is right for you. You rest when tired, eat nourishing food, move in ways that feel good, and seek medical care when needed. Let me translate the research into practical dating practices. First of all, mindful presence activities. The American Psychological Association's research suggests that solitude helps individuals reduce stress, improve emotional regulation, and foster self-awareness. This works best when you're fully present rather than distracted. Try journaling in park with your phone on airplane mode. Go on what I call a feeling walk with no podcast or music. Just presence with your own thoughts. Practice grounding techniques like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 during supper time to anchor yourself in present experience. Intentional care rituals. Plan a solo movie night with the same intention you'd bring to a romantic date. So, cook yourself a beautiful meal and sit down to actually savor it rather than eating standing at the counter while scrolling. You can even dress nicely because it is a date, but you're not doing it for other person. You're doing it for yourself because you, for instance, like this dress, like this sweater, generally brings you pleasure, and you think that you look good in that thing. Book a weekend retreat with yourself, for yourself, not as a consolation, but as a genuine priority. And focus on actually thinking maybe you could go into this really, I don't know, maybe it's a retreat by the sea. So think about what you can do without other people that you actually like. So maybe if you were there with like your date, your colleague, your friend, you would think what they like. But think, what do you like? Maybe they like to go party, but you don't actually enjoy it. Maybe you prefer a walk by the sea. You want to feel the breeze on your thighs. You love the sun. You love the sound of the seagulls. You want to do that. So do that. Self-compassion practices. Harvard psychologist Christopher Germer suggests 5 evidence-based approaches. Physical comfort, rest, gentle touch, nourishing food. Self-compassion letter writing, describing difficult situations without blame. Inner dialogue reframing, speaking to yourself as you would to a dear friend. Mindfulness practice, observing thoughts and feelings without trying to suppress them. Body awareness, noticing how self-compassion feels physically. Creating flow states. Research shows that time spent alone offers the quiet, distraction-free environment needed to enter flow state, that mental condition where you're deeply focused and immersed in an activity. Self-dating creates protected time where you can pursue activities that generate flow, whether that's creative work, physical movement, or contemplative practice. Let me address common questions with research-based answers. What if I feel silly or awkward dating with myself? Research shows that simply viewing solitude as potentially beneficial rather than inherently lonely and bad significantly elevates negative feelings, even for people experiencing severe loneliness. Awkwardness just means you're learning something new. The neural pathways for self-compassion strengthens with practice. So just try it once or twice and think what happened. Was it really that bad? Is self-dating just for single people? Not at all. A 5-year longitudinal study found that both compassion towards others and compassion towards self predicts mental and physical well-being, including reduced loneliness across the adult lifespan. Even, especially in relationships, self-connection matters for both individual and relationship health. Isn't just a passing trend. The research spans decades across cultures and age groups, shows consistent benefits of choosing solitude and self-compassion. As one researcher noted, Americans are spending more time alone, and contrary to fears of loneliness epidemic, many find solitude essential for well-being. How is this different from just being alone? The key distinction is intentionality and choice. Research differentiates between positive solitude and isolation. The experience of choiceless, extended alone time, self-dating is chosen, intentional, an approach with self-compassion rather than a resignation. Everything we've discussed about self-dating applies directly to entrepreneurship. Building a business requires enormous amounts of self-regulation, creative thinking, decision-making, uncertainty, and resilience for setbacks. All of these capabilities are enhanced by the practices we've explored. Self-compassion, chosen solitude, internal security, and mindful presence. When you have a strong relationship with yourself, you make better strategic decisions because you're not operating from fear or needed for validation. You handle rejection from investors and customers without it destroying your sense of worth. You can pivot when needed because your identity isn't rigidly fused with any particular business model. What is the most important thing is you understand yourself. You understand what are your triggers. You understand how you operate because you took deliberate time to understand yourself, to think through how you behave, to contemplate yourself. And because of that, when you're in this high stake situation, you can actually pause and think, okay, is this really the good decision? Am I making the decision from fear, from stress? Is this or a need for validation? Is this really the best case scenario for my business? The research on self-compassion and professional efficacy is particularly relevant for founders. Studies show that self-compassionate professional experience less burnout, maintain better boundaries, and demonstrate greater resilience, all crucial for sustainable entrepreneurship. The research is unequivocal. Self-compassion and chosen solitude aren't luxuries or indulgences. You're not really a selfish person by taking time for yourself. There are necessities for mental and physical health, creative thinking, and effective functioning in the world. You don't need permission to prioritize yourself. Don't need to wait to be chosen by someone else first. You don't need a dramatic breakup to justify spending intentional time alone. You just want one thing: the willingness to believe you're worthy of your own attention. So go on that solo date, book the trip, make the meal, light a candle, not because it looks good or because you're performing self-care, but because decades of psychological research confirms what you probably already know in your body. You need this. Self-dating isn't selfish. It's essentially scientifically validated. It's psychologically necessary, and it just might change your life. Until then, remember, choosing yourself isn't just okay. According to research, it's essential. This is Founder Unfiltered. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.